Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Minecraft gameplay. So basically, this is a long story, and so that's why I'm playing just regular Minecraft. Because there's no way that I'm getting through a Sky Wars session or a Bed Wars session with how long this thing is. Like this could be a 45-minute story, because it's a long one. So yeah, strap in for that. Also, I'm going to attempt to be a bit more energetic in this video because I've noticed that there is a severe lack of energy in my videos, and obviously I'm sure everyone has noticed that. And it's funny, I used to think that there was a lack of energy in like my older videos, and then I look back at them and I'm like, wow, I had so much energy. What happened? So yeah, I'm gonna attempt to be a little bit more energetic. No promises that it's gonna stick around, but it's at least worth trying, I guess. So, anyway, yes, this is gonna be a long story, so strap in. I don't want to waste too much time. So, yeah, so I want to say 2 weeks ago now. It's been about. I went to school. It started off as just a normal day. I get to my first class of the day, right? Um, and about I want to say 10 seconds ish, I cannot craft a. I can't. My inventory is so. I am really good at organizing my inventory sometimes, as you can clearly see. Yeah, about 10 seconds after I made it to my first class, I sat down, and then all of a sudden, this blistering pain started in my like in my lower right abdomen area. Um, and I had no idea what that was about. It was a little disconcerting because it literally came out of nowhere. There was no warning for it. There was nothing. It was just there, and it hurt kind of a lot. So, wow, this is the best cave I have ever found in my life. Um, yeah, but it didn't last very long. But it was not a pleasant feeling in the slightest. Um, So yeah, after that pain went away, I kind of figured that it was over. The pain had ended, because I was afraid that something was in trouble. Something inside of me was not having it, um, and so I ended up like going through my first class and into my second one. There was still a pain in my side. It wasn't the same pain as before. It was in the same spot, but it felt like a different kind of pain. I'm not gonna get all that cold. I can't be bothered. It felt like a different kind of pain, and it was weird. Um, and so I was a little bit concerned, but I figured for the time being, oh no, I figured that for the time being I would just keep my eye on it, and then if it got worse or if it like persisted, then I'd do something or attempt to do something. I guess we're gonna get through this because there's no way that this is not happening. This is really just not happening. So yeah, I waited on it a little bit, but it didn't go away. And so when I got to my third class, I decided, all right, you know what, I'm gonna do something about this. Nothing's probably gonna get done today, but um, I'll try something. So what I did was I ended up going home early. I figured I would end up going to the hospital later. Um, Maybe not that day, but sometime in the future. Man, I wish this was not waterlogged. But yeah, I figured I would eventually end up in the hospital or going to the doctors or something. So yeah, I waited on it that day. I was in pain still, so I took some Tylenol, um, and I kept making sure that I could tell as soon as the Tylenol wore off. By the way, that's one of the funny things about painkillers is you can immediately tell when the medicine has worn off, because suddenly there's just a searing pain. So the next day comes in, and I can't remember exactly what happened, but we didn't go to the hospital that day because we just didn't have the chance. My mom said to give it another day. I'm pretty sure, and then like if anything else happened, I needed to let her know, and then she would have us go to the doctors, and we'll see what would happen. And so, yeah, spoiler alert, it stayed. It didn't go away. So I ended up, like, the next day, my mom booked an appointment to go to the doctor's office instead of the ER or the hospital, just because in case it is nothing important, or if like I'm just feeling this pain for no apparent reason. She didn't want to have to waste a ton of money, which I don't blame her for, because I was literally saying that to myself like 2 days before, and just saying, man, I really hope this isn't like nothing to worry about, because I don't want you to have to spend like a unnecessarily large amount of money. I really don't want that to happen, you know. So yeah, we went to the doctors, and we told him what was going on, and he was like, okay, explain the pain, and then I'll do some little checks, and we'll see what happens, and let me know if you feel any pain. So I told him what was going on. He was like, okay, that sounds to me like appendicitis, which is what it sounded like to me originally. I remember the day that I started feeling that searing pain, before the persistent pain started. The searing pain lasted, I want to say, like 30 seconds or so, but the persistent pain stayed after that. But yeah, the searing pain, I was like, okay. I immediately looked up, like, because my brain immediately went to the worst possible scenario naturally. So yeah, I looked up exactly where the appendix is located, and where you're gonna feel the pain if your appendix is about to burst. And what do you know? That's exactly where I'm feeling this pain. So yeah, that was great. I was not worried at all. But yeah, basically, he was like, okay, that sounds to me like appendicitis. Let me feel around there, make sure that, like, I don't feel any tenderness, and if you hurt or anything, let me know. And we'll see what happens. And so he basically, he had to put pressure in that spot, and he had to let me know if I felt any pain, or if I felt any pain around there. And sure enough, I only felt pain there. So yeah. Anyway, he was like, okay, so what I'm gonna do is, because I'm not gonna be able to do a whole lot about this, because I'm just like the doctor, I'm not like a surgeon, and I'm not here to. I did not mean to try breaking that with a stone axe. Yeah, he was like, I'm not really the surgeon, and I'm not really the kind of guy that would be good for this, so I'm gonna have you guys go to the ER. And I was like, yeah, okay, that's what I figured. I had been well prepared for going to the ER, because I had a feeling it would happen. So, and I want to make it known, our appointment was at 3:45 p.m., right? This time will be important later on in the story. So yeah, 3:45, and we get to the ER right around 4 o'clock ish. And we get there, and we get in line, and then we end up getting the test to make sure that I'm not like sick with COVID or anything. And they check my pulse. This is the second time they had checked my pulse, and my heart rate, or my blood pressure, I meant. So yeah, they took that again, and then they were like, okay, well, you're still not technically an adult, so we can't really put you in the normal ER, so we're gonna send you to the children's ER and make you suffer in there for the rest of the day. And I'm like, really? I'm 17. You really have to do this to me? You really gotta do this to me? Come on now. So yeah, we ended up going to the children's ER, which was still connected to the regular ER, but it was a longer walk. Which is really helpful when you're feeling pain around your appendix, because, spoiler alert, moving around can make that worse. So yeah, that was fantastic. But we made it to the children's ER area, and my doctor had called them and had them put me on like a high priority list, just to make sure, because if it was something bad in the end, it basically just meant that we didn't have to wait in line as long. Ow. Hey, that's not very nice of you. Come on, let's do this. Get destroyed. So we sit in the waiting room area while we're in the ER, or while we're just kind of there. And eventually my name gets called. Although we were able to watch like a third of Moana on the TV screen in there at the time, which was kind of funny. But eventually my name gets called, and they bring me into a hospital room. And then have me get into a hospital gown, which, believe it or not, I've never done before, so that was fun. But yeah, I end up in the hospital gown, and the whole place just is really like it's more appealing to children because obviously it's the children's ER. So the place looks like it's meant for children, you know, which is really really funny when I'm 17. Uh, I'm gonna complain a lot in this video, so just be prepared for that. Okay, I crit you. Get destroyed, kid. So yeah, they finally get me to my room, and they take my pulse and my blood pressure and make sure that I'm not sick with COVID for the third time. And then they're like, okay, so while you're in this hospital bed, later on we're gonna need a urine sample because they knew what was going on at this point. Like, so they were trying to like find any opportunity, and they needed a urine sample in case there was any like blood in my urine. There could be like a kidney stone, instead of appendicitis. So they're trying to find any other possibility as well. So you know, I understand, but the thing is, I didn't have to pee, and so they're like, okay, so yeah, we'll have to do that later, but we're just making sure you don't have to go now because we're gonna have to strap you down, pretty much. And I was like, what? And they're like, oh yeah, and we gotta get you in an IV, you know, make sure, you know, put some fluids in you. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. There we go, fantastic. So they put a needle in my arm, and then they draw some blood. You know, apparently that's another possible way to find like things with appendicitis, but apparently it isn't very reliable. So whatever, I guess it was still useful to him. It could have still been useful to him. It could have still been useful to him at least. So yeah, they tried that, and so then they put the tube in my arm, and then turned on the IV, which, believe it or not, is kind of loud. I didn't feel the liquid entering my veins at any point, but yeah, the IV was just loud. And basically, if you don't know how IVs work, they pump the liquid into your veins, like one drop at a time. And what that's supposed to do is it's supposed to make it so you have to pee. So yeah. So yeah, they put the IV in me, and they're like, okay, we'll be back and we'll do some testing here in a minute. And I'm like, okay, I'll just be here. Why not? So yeah, I waited a little bit, and then eventually another nurse comes in and is like, okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna start with an ultrasound, just to see if there's any abnormalities in that area around where you're feeling the pain. And we'll do that in just a few minutes, and then we'll get your results, and then if further testing is necessary, we will do that. And so, you know, that was fine. And then a few minutes later, after she had called the ultrasound people, my attendance over there was necessary, or it was ready, I guess. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the hospital room that I was in originally was apparently not meant for like long-term visitors. It was meant for just like quick appointments. So they had to wheel me into another room. So yeah, I was chilling in just another room suddenly, which was a little bit smaller than the one that I was previously in, but other than that, it was pretty much just the same room. So yeah, they ended up putting me in there, and then I went to get the ultrasound, and the way they did that thing was pretty cool. The cameras didn't look like cameras at all. They kind of looked like hammerhead sharks. Which was kind of strange to me, but anyway, yeah. And you know, the one nice thing about being in the children's ER is that the doctors were quite a bit nicer than the adult one, or the regular ER doctors would have been. So yeah, that was a plus. Hey, okay. Yeah, they were just a little bit nicer, so it made the experience quite a bit better. And so she was like, okay, let me know if I'm hurting you at all. Oh god, I don't want to get filtered. Hey, no. Hey, maybe I should have a sword for this. I should probably make a sword. That would be beneficial for me. And so yeah, she's pressing down like the cameras in that area looking for anything, and she's getting pictures of other things as well to try and, you know, figure out like whatever. Like if there was a kidney stone, it might be easier for her to find one with the ultrasound, although she told me that she wasn't the specialist in looking for things. She was just there to take pictures of certain spots so that the actual experts could, analyze the results and come back with the details later. But I ended up seeing some pretty cool stuff. Like apparently the doctors were saying a lot of the kids don't like to look at that because they find it like they just aren't interested. But I found it interesting. I ended up seeing some pretty cool things. Like I saw my gallbladder. I saw my right kidney. And she said there didn't appear to be any stones, but again, she wasn't the expert in that, so she couldn't really say for sure. But then she got all the pictures she needed, as well as she got the picture of my appendix as well, but she took that last apparently. I hear some. Yeah, she apparently took that picture last, and then once that was done, they wheeled me back into my room where my mom was just chilling by herself. So we end up watching a movie when I get back to my room. I think we watched the Angry Birds movie, or the second Angry Birds movie, while we were there, because there's a lot of children's movies, because I was in the children's hospital. But we ended up watching Angry Birds 2, and then on cue, like as soon as like the movie was over, hey, why did you like come after me like you were gonna like hit me, and then you just casually walked by? Why are you like this? Anyway, yeah, it's about an hour, like, immediately after the movie was over, like, as the final scene was coming to its end, the doctor, or my nurse, apparently came into the room and said that they didn't find anything on the ultrasound, but just to be sure, they were gonna set up a CAT scan arrangement, and I was gonna get a CAT scan done. So, I was like, okay, great, whatever. Cool. So yeah, and at this point my IV had finally run out. My arm had felt really heavy up until that point. Like, apparently, believe it or not, pumping liquid into like your veins and pumping it into one spot specifically kind of sort of makes your arm a little heavier from all the liquid that's in it. So that was a thing. But yeah, so my veins, or my arm, felt a little heavy at that point, but the IV had run out. So yeah, there was, and I had been unhooked for it, and actually they did another, like, while that woman, or while my nurse had told me that my results came back and they didn't see anything out of the ordinary with that. They took my blood pressure and my pulse for like I want to say this was the fourth time now. So yeah, that was great. And so we started watching another movie while we were waiting. And since I was unhooked from my IV, all of a sudden I could actually move around now. That which was nice. I still had the tube in my arm, but they needed that for later because they were gonna do other stuff. Which I wasn't too thrilled about, but whatever. And so yeah, about, I want to say like 20 minutes into our second movie, we ended up watching Doctor Strange. So yeah, we got like 20 minutes into Doctor Strange, and the CT people apparently were suddenly ready. So I was wheeled down there, and let me just say, it's kind of not cool being wheeled through the children's hospital at 17 in a hospital bed. I felt like I didn't belong. I felt like the odd one out, if that makes sense. But whatever, they wheeled me to the CT room, and we're like, okay, your scan, here we go. And the CT person was like, well, you're gonna, like, okay, so when I have a liquid that I'm gonna have to inject you with, which is why you still have your IV in, and I'll do that for the third picture, but I'm just warning you beforehand that you're gonna feel really weird, and I'll explain more about that when we get there. And then she goes on to explain how the machine works and what it's gonna have me do, and I'm like, okay, great, fantastic. And so there were certain parts where I was going to have to hold my breath, which was fine with me, but I was apparently told that it would announce when I had to do that, so I didn't really care too much. And then I would move in and out of the machine twice, and then they would set up for the third one. And so yeah, the first one starts, and I went in, and it was like, hold your breath, and so I was like, hi, and then I held my breath, and then it was like, you can breathe now, and I was like, okie dokie, and so I started breathing. I'm not great at explaining this part of the story. Don't worry about it. Um, yeah, later on, after we got through the second image, the CT person was like, okay, so this liquid's gonna make you feel weird. And then she went on to explain how I was gonna feel really warm as soon as she injected me with it. I was gonna feel really warm, like from head to toe, all over. And then she said I was gonna feel like I was peeing myself, even though I wasn't going to be peeing myself. And I was like, oh, fantastic. And so she's like, okay. And then as soon as I do this, we're gonna start the machine up again. And apparently, what this liquid was supposed to do, it was supposed to like clear up my veins a little bit, make the image a little bit clearer. So yeah, we like she injects me with it, and instantly I suddenly felt like the temperature of the room increased by like 20 degrees. It was super weird. And then the machine turned on, and all of a sudden, I never got the feeling like I was gonna pee myself. I never felt that. What I did feel was the sudden like feeling like I was about to vomit all over the place. And I gotta be honest, that was I really wish he had mentioned that at some point before this. I mean, I didn't know if this was like a part of anything yet. I just kind of assumed that like I'm just having a bad reaction to this. And then all of a sudden the machine was like, hold your breath, and I tried, and I succeeded. I succeeded in that regard, but it was not easy. Yeah, it was not easy to hold my breath when I felt like I was about to puke my brains out. So, and then it was like, okay, you can breathe now, and I was like, oh great, this isn't gonna help me either. And so yeah, I started breathing. The CT person came back into the room and was like, okay, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm feeling a little nauseous right now. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm sure you'll be all right though. We'll get a barf bag for you just in case. And meanwhile, I'm asking if that's a normal thing, and she's like, oh yeah, it happens to just about everyone. In fact, you're actually one of the lucky ones. Where did all my food go? Did I really eat all of it? Yeah, she was like, you're actually one of the lucky ones. Most of the people, or a good majority of the people that we have to do this with, just end up puking all over themselves. And I'm like, wow, were you gonna mention that to me at any point? But whatever, it was not a big deal. What just died? So anyway, after that, the CT scan, they were done. And so I got back into my hospital bed, and they wheeled me all the way back over to my room. And we finished watching Doctor Strange, which was, it's a good movie. Would recommend. I would definitely recommend that one. So yeah, we finished watching Doctor Strange. Good movie. Would recommend if you haven't seen it. And then we lit again, like on the dot. I think they knew. I think they just kind of knew that it's like they just knew as soon as we were done. Because as the credits started rolling, the nurse comes back into the room. And, it's like, okay, so they're finally getting to your CT results. And I'm like, you made us wait 2.5 hours before they started looking at that. Oh, great. That's fantastic. And then, they took my vitals again for, I think this is the 5th time. And my vitals did not change at all. So that was a good thing at least. And then they started pressuring for the urine sample again, and I was like, fine. I mean, I didn't have to pee, but I guess I had to, so yeah, I did. Can I just say something? That bathroom, because the hospital room that I was in had a bathroom in it, that bathroom was unnaturally green. Something was wrong with that bathroom. I don't know what was up about that bathroom, but I did not like how green that bathroom was. But whatever, I got them their urine sample, and they're like, okay, so yeah, it should only be a little bit longer, but you'll be alright, and we'll give you your results in just a little bit. And I'm like, okay, fine. You know, like once again, I'll just be here, not doing anything, because I can't do anything. So, yeah. And then a little bit later, we actually started our third movie, which was National Treasure. That's another good one. It's kind of an old movie though. We didn't get very far into that one though, as my results came back pretty quickly after that. And they said they didn't see anything out of the ordinary, although they did say my liver looked a little enlarged, but they weren't too worried about it. They didn't think that that was the cause of my pain. So, yeah, and then, so they were like, okay, well, I guess if the pain persists and you need more testing, we can do that. But for now, we're gonna send you home, and whatever happens, just feel free to call us back. And we were like, okie dokie. And so, yeah, I went home, and I wanna mention at this point, it was 11 o'clock at night. We got to the ER at 4 o'clock, which means we were there for 7 hours. I think that's the right math. I think that's the right math. Yeah, okay. And we got home at right around 11:30. And the pain itself didn't go away. Even now, it's still not entirely gone away, but it's been 2 weeks and the pain has gotten better. But the week, like a few days after that, we actually got back, the pain was still there, and my mom was like, okay, we'll head back to the doctors and we'll see what's going on. And we ended up not being there for very long once again. But he was like, okay, I'm not feeling anything like wrong, and if you're saying you're not feeling the pain in the same area, because I failed to mention, the pain moved. Like it started right in my appendix area, but then it moved, and so I was no longer worried about my appendix. I was worried about just my internal organs, because they were just in a bad state. Because it moved to like my right side. It's like my actual side, not like my right or my bottom right abdomen area. It moved to my right side, and then it moved like into the direct middle part of my stomach, and then it was kind of on the left for a bit, and then it returned back to the right side, which is where it still is today. And the doctor was like, okay, I'll check that out. It could just be, you could have just done a little bit of damage to yourself and you're just healing, or maybe your body is just not having a good time right now. But I'll check, and so he did, and he didn't feel anything out of the ordinary. So he didn't really think there was anything wrong. And so he sent me home as well, and so here we are today. Yeah, that was my hospital story. I'm still in pain. It's very, very mild now. It was much worse before. I don't need to be on painkillers anymore for this. This is totally livable without painkillers right now. Obviously no pain would be preferable, but for now it's not a big deal. Oh, I found a mine shaft. I actually have been looking for a mine shaft for quite some time. But yeah, he didn't see anything out of the ordinary. And so yeah, he sent me home, and everything is, you're pretty much caught up now. I'm actually gonna get up to that mine shaft and the video up there, cause yeah, and also yes, I know that my energy that I said I was going to attempt to have a bit more of for this video didn't last very long. I kind of noticed that right away. So sorry about that. I will try to do better in the future, because I don't really want my videos to be just ridiculously monotone and boring. That just doesn't sound like an enjoyable video to me, and it never really has. But I'm here we still are, and I'm monotone. So yeah, we'll try to fix that for future. Did I land on a geode? Or is this just a, it's just a hump? No, this is a geode. Oh, I guess this is as good a place as ever or as any to end the video. So, yeah. If you guys enjoyed this story, hit the like button, subscribe, or don't. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see me make in the future, because as I've mentioned before, I don't want to make exclusively Minecraft videos. That just doesn't sound enjoyable to me. Maybe some of you guys are okay with that, but I don't really want that to be my channel. I like playing other games, like horror games, and horror games. Anyway, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe, or don't. Leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.